All right, big 3, 2, 1 boom here. Energy Boom 101 live from Boom U. There's the first angle we'll use. Oh, by the way, we connect crude, cannabis, and consciousness one gusher at a time. We've trademarked that. The lawyers told me to mention that. This is Energy Boom 101. We know that we have one viewer out there. We thank Marcus Graves, unbelievable human being. We hope to get maybe 2 or 3 viewers in the next year, and then I can tell Wall Street that our viewers have doubled in the last year, and we'll get a bunch of money, I'm sure. But we're going to try and keep up with an energy boom that is sweeping right through this glorious little university right here, Boom U. And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on that's been going on for 10 years, probably go on for another 10 years. And then, of course, there's crazy stuff going on today. We'll talk about the market, why Chesapeake went up 17%. You got to love the peak, getting it done, selling assets, unlocking value, even in the face of dropping oil prices. We'll talk about that. Oil's at $83 a barrel. It's been sliding for about the last month and a half. No one ever knows for sure why, but you can usually infer who the big players are, and that would be the emergence of the U.S. shale production. And then there's always, world events, oh shit, someone caught on fire, oh shit, well, their oil production's going to slow down, so the traders shoot the price up. But over the long term, you can see pretty steady patterns, and you can make pretty strong inferences, and I'm making all this shit up, so I hope no one's actually listening. But oil's at $83 a barrel, so we've got plenty of documents that we're going to look at. Here's one of them right here. Great site. I'd recommend anyone who's serious about energy, just read this guy every day, RBN Energy. They're talking about, look at this. Crude falls to pieces. How far will it tumble? No one knows, but that's the glory of this game. So there's a lot of talk right now is this oil boom going to get pinched as crude drops down to $90 a barrel, $80 a barrel. Well, $83 a barrel is pretty low for what most people are probably budgeting. And OPEC is already supposed to meet November 27th to discuss how they're going to address this glut. And then also I'm having some serious computer problems, so you're going to see me just improvise right now and tell this thing to go to hell and get back to... There's Boom U, by the way. Look at that. Huge. And there's also Boom U. These are a few patented camera angles. We've trademarked these camera angles, so it's impossible for anyone else to use them. But look at this one. It's the flip pop. Flip up, you get the silhouette. You get the Boom U doing Hotel California. The pop, you get suddenly the color comes gushing in. You get to read how, let's get away from Boom U for half a second and get back to Yahoo Finance, and we'll show you how Chesapeake put the hurt on it today. Look at that, the peak. CHK up 17%. Why? They sold a bunch of assets. Shocker there, they've never done that. Why this would surprise Wall Street, we'll never know, but this will be a fun story to follow. Chesapeake's a great story to follow, of course, founded by Tommy Ward and Aubrey McClendon. Tommy Ward then went on to Sandridge. Sandridge sort of got pretty good press dump by a hedge fund that then came in, and Tommy Ward now has Tapstone. And I think they've got their first $28 million jet, so God bless them. Chesapeake's a great company to follow. They're going to be really emblematic of the boom. I wish Mr. McClendon were still with them, and then you would see a true emblematic picture of the boom. No matter what happened, he would be a part of it. He's now with American Energy Partners. That's someone we try and follow. We call that series the Symphony of Shale. I know I'm rambling, but we're only 3 minutes and 47 seconds into it, and I've been told by more than 2 passerbys that I need to shut it down for the sake of humanity. But seriously, folks, in addition to talking about Chesapeake and why they went up 17% today because they sold assets, they sold a shitload of shale properties, I think, in the Marcellus. Anyways, they pulled in about $4.5 billion with a B. That, of course, surprised Wall Street. What are they doing? How do they do that? Oh, it's amazing. And then their stock goes up 17%. And that's in the face of oil prices dropping down to $83 a barrel. So if oil prices were at $100 a barrel, if this had happened 3 months ago, the stock would probably be up 35%. This is the beauty of this game. No one knows it. I don't know it. I don't even know why you're listening. But you're here. And I've been told by the attorneys that I have to kill time until we reach the 10-minute mark. I can do that. One way to really do that is reading the greatest newspaper ever published right here. I still call it the Daily Oklahoman. I don't give a frog's fat ass that some cat out of Denver bought it and calls it the Oklahoman. I call it the Daily Oklahoman. And I refer to it as often as possible as the greatest newspaper ever, bar none. We get to read the oil logs in this thing, and that's a lot of fun. And you also get to get a lot of local cooking, a lot of local produce, a lot of local news that'll help you out there. But don't listen to me, because I predicted GMX was going to go to the moon, and it really didn't. That said, there is some. Hey, Marcus, what's up? There's some great stuff in here. We're going to talk about the Oklahoman is doing an incredible job, by the way. That's being sarcastic. Covering the Harold Hamm divorce. Now, Harold Hamm is another Hank Hamm, by the way, right there. Another big national oilie, but in particular Oklahoma oilie, lives up in Oklahoma City. He and his soon-to-be ex-wife Sue Ann going through a pretty wicked divorce. She's laying claim to half of his estate, which is worth about, I don't know, $18 billion, based on his like 67% ownership of Continental stock. And it should be pretty interesting. I'll go ahead and just shoot from the hip and say I'm pretty sure what will happen is whoever makes these decisions, which is usually a judge, will say, okay, let's settle this. You're not going to get $7 billion. We'll give you $3 billion, and we'll give it to you in stock, which will be locked up. You cannot sell it for 2 years, which, by the way, if you're smart, you won't sell it for 2 years. And then you'll get back that $7 billion you want, because the stock's going to appreciate like hell. So if you want $7 billion, here's the way to do it. That's my thought. We'll see what happens 5 years from now. See, Continental just split their stock. It's now about $55, and all it needs is oil prices to go back up, and it'll go soaring back up with it. So that's my thought of how they'll probably eventually settle this thing with the Harold Hamm divorce trial. And the whole reason I brought that up was to show you the value. There it is. There's the word value. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. I think Charles Nelson Riley said that. But it's that's the value of still going local on your news, that is. And here's a little coverage on Hank Hamm, but you've already heard everything. There needs to be said about Hank Hamm. I will read the oil logs, though. They're pretty amazing. What's even more amazing is we're actually 7 minutes into this show, and we still haven't really had to pause for any kind of bullshit, other than the entire show's bullshit, if you think about it. This will eventually be a radio show. This is more like a video diary podcast, but it's all about energy and the human condition, of course, and that glorious sunset. There's a fucking, by the way, spelled P-H-U-C-K-I-N-G, fucking kids, a wicked little set we're going to get here. There's the glory and roar of being right there. We patented that. We didn't patent that. We trademarked it. We trademarked that phrase, the glory and roar of being, because that's going to be the name of the radio show that we'll do live from the Sooner Theater. If that ever happens. Doubtful. Anyway, I think you guys have a good idea what this show's about, which is absolutely nothing. We've discussed the fact that the big thing going on is that we're right here live from Boom U, which is the portal to the Global Energy Rainbow / chess match. You've got the president of Boom U hanging out over there. His name is David Boren. He's on the board of directors of Continental Resources. He's a very powerful individual that is being given more capital than he's ever had, and it's probably candy to him, and he can dispatch it with the best of them. So half this show is going to be following President Boren's decisions he makes in dispatching capital, that's whether it's academic capital, intellectual capital, financial capital, political capital. We're making all this up, so it doesn't matter. And by the way, we'll dedicate a page to this in the Boom newspaper, which you really want to read. It's pathetic, but seriously, folks. Speaking of booms, pivot around. I'm going to describe it so I know you can see it. The trees, think of the trees as a canopy. Now go below that canopy and there's a building way, way far away, like way over there. And then you see this little rod right here, and it's got this thing way up high. That's a crane. They're replacing a roof. You're going to see constant construction at Boom U for the next 5 years, as long as oil prices stay at about 70 barrels and above. This would be interesting. Interesting question. What is the price per barrel point for Boom U and President Boren to say, shut it down, we're no longer drilling for education? That'll be a side note. We'll put that in the Boom, maybe. But anyway, there's a lot of construction that's going. It's going to be ongoing. We hope to give you a representation of the Boom as it unfurls right here. Matter of fact, we may do nothing more than just sit here every day, turn this thing on, and ramble for 15 minutes, and you get to hear a boom as it happens. Now, I know things aren't booming right now. Look, not too many people out here. I get it. This patio, by the way, which has incredible potential. This is the best location at Boom U, bar none. And one of these days, if we can get a hedge fund to come in and offer Rainy Powell a couple $100,000 for this place, we'll buy it. And then we'll show you what you can do if you just kick a little ass at Boom U. Like, first off, you got to have a TV show from here and a million other things. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and track this boom as it comes in, and that's with dollar bills. It's also with muscle cars. There's a badass Lamborghini zipping around town, and you can hear it. Hopefully, when we do a dispatch, that's what we call these things, kids. By the way, dispatches from the patch. It's a dispatch from the patch. We trademarked it. Don't try. But hopefully, like there's a badass yellow Nissan right there. I know you can see probably the headlights of it or the rear lights. That's a pretty badass Nissan. I don't know if that's a 300 or 350, but we're gonna try and find some good muscle for you. There'll be American muscle, there'll be those the Lamborghini's exotic muscle, but it's all gonna come to town with a boom, as well as construction. There'll be new buildings. There'll be academic buildings built. They're already gonna do a quote unquote modernization to Boom Muse football stadium to the tune of $500 million. It starts in about a year or less. It's gonna take 8 months. Of those 500 million, probably 400 million is gonna come from energy. No, that's not that much, but the suites that they sponsor will be primarily energy, I would imagine, energy money. And that's going to be its own little mini boom within a boom. I mean, literally, when that thing's going on, it's going to be its own little mini boom 24/7 city, because they're going to have to rebuild and modernize a stadium in about 8 months. So it's going to be pretty wicked, and that'll be part of the boom that we'll show. That's a year away, by the way. That's a year away. So there's plenty of things happening. Announced investable dollars announced. Now, they can always be pulled back. That would be huge if they didn't. You know what? If they didn't go through with the modernization a year from now, it'll be because oil went to $10 a barrel. And that could happen, but I doubt it. Speaking of which, though, OPEC has already, through Saudi Arabia, I believe, basically has sent out there what they would call the whisper number to the street. And they've said, prepare yourself for $80 oil for a long time because we're comfy with it. And then there was a glorious quote from an individual in this article. I wish I could find it, but basically what he says is, Saudi Arabia now runs OPEC, by the way. Saudi Arabia is going to take the pain of low oil prices for as long as it takes for the trades to then wash out and create a baseline that they know U.S. shale drillers cannot support. Now, here's the glorious thing. What Saudi Arabia might be missing is that we may be able to lower our costs nonstop. We've found the oil. The next thing you do is you start lowering your cost through technology. Think of how many things go into drilling for oil, let alone the actual physical drilling for it. How many little widgets and how many processes plural for process. Let's trademark that. Think of that, and think of all the different ways you can save money. So once you've found the oil, okay, great, Saudi Arabia wants to drop it down to $80 a barrel. But if we have shale drillers, EOG, by the way, look at the smartest guys in the patch. If we have shale drillers that are able to bring the cost down just as quick, then it doesn't matter. Saudi Arabia, by the way, I don't know what it costs them to profitably pull a barrel of oil out of the ground. I don't have a clue, and it may be so low that it's ridiculous. They may get it out of the ground for $30 a barrel for all I know. But the game is being played. The U.S. shale revolution has spooked their market share. They're now responding by saying, fine, we'll drop prices and we'll see who wins this. Now what we have to do is respond and say, okay, well, then we're going to drop the cost of production. So there's a wicked game going on. You can see that there's going to be collateral damage and bodies will be in the ditch. But that always happens after a party, so deal with it. Here at Boom U, it's one big party. We're almost 13 minutes into it. I know it seems surreal. At this point, we should let you know that the drilling fluid we used today was, we didn't use any scotch today. I don't know what we used, but I'll make it up. So we used a nice, no, I can't make it up. You can't lie about that stuff. The drilling fluid we used today is Cafe Plaid's iced tea. The good news is the fracking services came from Super D's Fracking and Field Services for all your quality stripper well field service needs. We'll frack them. And they fracked them, and it's nice. It's nothing to write home about. It ain't taking you to Saturn, but it's nice. Those, by the way, were the bells of Boom U, which is pretty badass. You got those in a dispatch, which is nice. We're also at about 14 minutes into it, so I'm going to shut this down. I'm pretty sure this is the one that goes viral. We didn't even get to the oil logs, for God's sake. So we have to do that in the next 30 seconds, basically. So let me just show you what the oil logs are, and we'll see if we can't do a little oil patch jazz for you. We have 30 seconds to do oil patch jazz. We're never going to get it done, so I'll do one of them. Completions out of Alfalfa County, Chesapeake operating, 230 barrels a day. In Carter County, Lewis operating, 80 barrels a day. In Cole County, Jones Energy, maybe Jerry Jones, 20 barrels a day. In Custer County, Sanguine Gas, 743 barrels a day. That's a frickin' boomer, kids. That's a boomer. We're going to end on that because we won't have much time. We're running out of time. We got 8 seconds left, so I'm going to shut it down and say, from Boom U, this has been Energy Boom 101, dispatch from the patch, number God knows how many, 321, see ya.